What's up everyone, James here, and in today's video I just wanted to go through something that sort of caught me out when I first started in the marine keeping hobby, and I found the information just a little bit sort of mixed opinion, and it wasn't quite clear, and yeah, it was just hard to understand. So what that was just mixing salt water for a reef tank. As I said, I just found the information a little bit unclear when I was doing it, and I thought I'd just show you guys how I mix salt water myself. There's probably about a million ways to do this, but this is the way that I like to do it, and I think that it works really well. So let's get to it. So there's a few things you need to get started. One is that you will need some water. Now this water, depending on how far along you are in your reef keeping journey, could either be tap water, or it could be reverse osmosis water, or RO, and it comes from a unit that looks like that, which is basically that's a filter, and it takes all of the chemicals and minerals out of your tap water and creates sort of pure water. So if you use an RO water, you need to remineralize it with a product like Seachem's Equilibrium or something like that, just to get the minerals back into the water. Yep. So that's the first thing you need, and then you're going to need some marine salt. Now it's obviously a good idea to use marine salt and not aquarium freshwater salt, because that doesn't have minerals in it, that's just a salt, whereas this again has lots of minerals in it. The other things that I would advise that you need is a pump to mix the salt water, and also a refractometer. What a refractometer is a way of measuring how much salt is in the water, and they call that salinity in the reef keeping world. So in terms of the water that you're about to mix, the idea would be to, I would say, this is the way that I would do it, which is I would get half a cup of marine salt and put that into the water. Now I do probably a few times, say like 5 times or something like that. And then what I would do is leave it for 15 minutes with a water pump on, and then I would use the refractometer to check the salinity, and then every 15 minutes add another cup of water, half a cup of salt to the water, and then wait another 15 minutes and keep checking again. And I find that's the best way to measure the salinity of the water without going overkill, because if you add too much salt straight away, then you're going to have a salinity that's going to be through the roof, and if you've got a bucket the size of mine, which is 25 liters, then you might have to pour a lot of that water down the drain and then add some fresh water back into it just to, you know, lower the salinity again. So my advice would be to get a big bucket, not fill it up all the way, so you've got some space if you need to add some fresh water, and then yeah, like I said, add half a cup each time. So yeah, let's do that now. So as you can see from the water below, what we're doing is we're just going to mix the water now, and I'm going to leave it 15 minutes. So I'm going to just set a timer, 15 minutes time, and then I'll come back and have a look at the salinity using the refractometer. Okay, it's been 15 minutes now since adding the salt. So what we're going to do now is use this, which is called a refractometer. And now what you do is basically you use a little pipette, and you take some water from the salt water there, and you just gently add a little dab here, put that back on the top, and then you use the eyepiece here to have a look inside, and you check the salinity of the water. So you're looking for a measurement of 1.025 or thereabouts. It doesn't have to be spot on. Most marine aquatic life can live within tolerance of you know, just a little bit above or beyond there, but you're aiming to get as close to that as possible if you can. So I don't know if you can see in here. I don't think the eyepiece is going to be good enough to see. I'm actually hitting, well, never mind. I'm actually hitting 1.024, which is like pretty much spot on. So if I want, I could add just a dab of salt into it again, just to get that sort of salinity back up to 1.025, or I can keep it as is. Okay, so salt water is all mixed now. I've managed to get it back up to 1.025. I just add a little bit more salt into it, so it's pretty spot on. But like I said, you can leave it just slightly under or slightly above. It doesn't really matter too much. Obviously be aware of too many fluctuations, because that can obviously cause problems with your animals, but I haven't seen any problems yet. So, but again, that's not the be all and end all. You know, it's better to go with your gut on this one. So I know this sounds like a really random one, but one thing that caught me out was so my salt water here is 1.025 and I have 1.025 salinity water in my bucket. Now if I do a water change, how do I know how to get the levels back up to correct again? I know this sounds probably really easy to a lot of experienced reefers out there, but when I started, I found this really confusing, and I know it's just a little thing, but it really threw me off. So I just want to explain, like, so the best idea is, like, when you're doing your water change, maybe if you're doing just a 20% or something like that, take the water out, and that water there, you dispose of, and then you can add your 1.025 salinity water into the aquarium. Now the one thing that you want to watch out for when adding the water back up to the aquarium is just add a little bit and then check the salinity of the water in here. Again, I would say add your water, leave it 15 minutes or so, and then check the salinity again before adding any more water in. I know it's a bit of a time consuming process, but I think that's the safest way to make sure that your water is the right salinity all the time. The other thing you want to watch out for is obviously if the water goes too high, again, like your bucket, don't fill this all the way up. Just make sure you've got a little bit of room for error. And what you want to do is, if again the aquarium water does get too high, you add a bit of fresh water to it to neutralize the, you know, and get that salinity back down again. So that's kind of how it works. I just want to clarify, when I mean fresh water, just in case it wasn't very clear, when I mean fresh water, I mean water that hasn't got any salt in it, and that can be either your fresh RO water that's been remineralized, or your tap water. One thing to be aware of when doing water changes also is that with saltwater aquariums, obviously evaporation happens, and what that does is that, like in any kind of situation, water rises out of the aquarium. As the water rises, the salt doesn't, so just be mindful of, like, when the water is being evaporated. So if it starts to fall below, say, like a line that you've first got set here that's over time, and you notice, or you've set a marker, when evaporation happens, like I said, the fresh water leaves, but the salt still stays in, so your salinity is going to start to go up. So you just need to be aware of that. And if you start to notice that in certain environments, so, you know, if it's in a hot air, a warm room or something, for example, then just be mindful that when you're doing top-ups, which is just getting some fresh water and adding it back to the aquarium, that's the best way to do it. So you can do it two different ways if you're doing water changes. You can either just never do water changes or do them. Now, there is disputes here. If your tank has been running for a long time, then you can obviously let it just mature and do the top up, without doing any water changes. You'll see a lot of experienced reefers maybe go down that route because they sort of feel that they can keep control of the parameters a bit better. But when you're just starting out, I would recommend doing frequent water changes as you would any other aquarium, just to get any sort of nasties that might be in it, and also helps top the aquarium back up again with some new water. I think that's pretty much it. I think the only thing lastly is, again, if you're using tap water, for example, make sure that you use a water conditioner as you would with a freshwater aquarium, so something like Seachem Prime or something like that, just to make sure that the chlorine is gone from it. But you can either do that in your bucket or you can do it in the aquarium. So I hope you liked this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up and let me know what you think in the comments below. I hope I've sort of covered everything in terms of mixing salt water. Like I said, it's a really confusing topic. It was for me when I started. Again, it might not be for other people, but I just found it a little bit sort of convoluted with information and I wasn't sure where to start. So hopefully this makes it a little bit easier to understand for you. And if you haven't already, please hit that subscribe button. It really helps me out. I'll put out weekly videos on all my fish keeping antics, so hopefully it's something for everybody. And until next time, you stay safe.